Hey, family, welcome back to another episode of the Thriving Diabetic Mom broadcast. I'm your host, Candace Narsh Jenkins, also known as the Diabetic Mom Coach. I have a super exciting guest today. I'm going to introduce her in a moment. But I wanted to say to all the viewers, happy Black History Month, whether you're celebrating with your family, with your friends. I just want to acknowledge Black History Month. And before I bring my guest on, I wanted to also share how this is a space where I wanted to take the opportunity celebrating Black History Month while also amplifying the voices of other Black women who are professionals in this space. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest for today, Lavonte N. Dorsey, licensed clinical social worker. Hey, Lavonte.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you are absolutely welcome, and thank you for being here.
Mhm.
Lavonte and I met through some networking that we both were featured on a TV show actually for DETV. So shout out to Ivan from DETV. Just want to thank you for connecting us and keep doing what you're doing. So today, Lavonte is going to share with us. Oh, hey, Chris Marie. Hey, girl. Ivan is Ivan, girl. Oh my goodness. Lavonte is going to share with us some tips about how we can reduce our stress for those of us that are living with diabetes. You know, Lavonte, there's so much going on in the world today. I think I told you that my followers requested I do this video.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had to deliver with all that's going on with like everything, like from the political culture to, you know, what's going on in the world, the economics, you know, everything that's going on now. It's got people so stressed. And so people that are living with chronic illnesses, especially diabetes, they're saying, you know, what can we do to calm some of our stress down? And so I know Lavonte, she's got a arsenal of tools that she can help us use to
Yeah.
stay in control and kind of reduce our stress with diabetes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Levante, what would you say to all of us women out here who are moms, we've got diabetes, we're super stressed? Like walk
Mhm.
us through how we can kind of manage that stress.
Yeah, because we already know stress and our sugar levels, that correlation isn't a great one. So we got to stay in a very healthy space. I know when we were speaking a little bit earlier, you talked about just chronic health issues and how
Mm-hmm.
stress and trauma really contribute to that and put our bodies in a space of, oh no, code red, this isn't good. And
Yes.
I always think about that study that Dr. Nadine Burke did, and she wrote a book on it, just putting that correlation between your ACEs and then what that leaves you at risk for health wise. And so it's always so important to recognize, what are those environmental factors? What is going on in the background in our life that is putting us in a state that is not the one we should be in? And so
Yes.
when we think about stress, we first want to identify what our triggers are physically that let us know, I'm not feeling my best. And some of us
Mm.
may get more headaches. We may feel anxious. Our sleep patterns may be changed. We could be isolating from other people because it's just too overwhelming. It's
Mm-hmm.
just too much, and we're reaching our peak and we're not sure how to contain it. So we're first going to look at what is happening physically with me that'll let me know that I'm not in my best space. So that's step
Mm.
one.
Okay. Step one. We're following you. We're following.
All right. And then when we think about step two, we really have to identify those factors. What is contributing to my stress level? So I know I'm talking to the ladies today. I love talking to the ladies.
Me
And when
too.
we think
Hey,
about
baby.
when we think about the specific stressors that we face, and I don't know if there's a chat feature and you can see, but I would love for people to put in the chat as you're watching this live or on the replay. What are those things that happen daily that really impact you and cause you in a space of discomfort, or where you kind of have to make adjustments on the fly to, this isn't a part of my regular day, but it's causing me stress? Or it is a part of my regular day because I have 50 million tasks I am trying to manage. I was thinking about what I would say tonight, and I thought about just my day leading up to this very moment right here, and the 50 things, the checklist I had to accomplish. But then I thought about the sweet spot. And I think there are times when in our stresses, when we identify that there's work stress, that there's marital relationship stress, that there's friendship stress, that there's job stress, that there's the traumas of the world, as you spoke of, Candace, that are impacting us, what are those sweet spots where I could just take a moment to breathe? And so today here in Delaware, the weather was just a tad bit better. It wasn't that great, but a tad bit better. And I said, you know what? I have a 2-year-old. I said, I'm going to take my son to the park, and just to be outside and to breathe the air and to hear the laughter of children, to see his smile, to see, it's something about when I see young men playing basketball, doing something. It just brings joy to me. So finding those sweet moments of joy and peace and connection with nature, connections to your higher power, your spirituality, finding those sweet spots. So again, we got step 1. What is the triggers? What's happening in my body? And then 2, we're going to identify what is bothering me. What are those factors that are weighing me down? Candace, you tell me, because the ladies are talking tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got some comments, and I really want to make sure that we get to our comments. So I'm seeing in the comments an overwhelming to-do list. That's a good one. Like when we feel like we can't check off everything on that to-do list. I'm seeing financial stress. Most people are dealing with that. And I'm also seeing time management. That is huge. I know, and especially you spoke about like your son. So us as moms, it's like we kind of have this overwhelming job of being a mom, and then also trying to get our stuff done too. So how do you think we can manage some of that stuff that's like those daily things that creep up?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is giving ourselves grace, because it is really inhuman what we are trying to juggle. If you think about your roles as multiple full-time jobs, you're doing too much, sis. We are all doing too much.
And you're doing way too much.
We have to give grace, give understanding, not strive for perfection. Take breaks when we need to, be okay with saying no, even if that no is to ourselves. So I know when we have those checklists, those to-do lists that seem like, did I even get one thing done? I learned a technique where you write, okay, you can have your big to-do list, but then you want to break it down to your smaller one. Here is the day. And you want to set like if I put out 4 things I want to tackle, I'm going to put an amount of time that I'm going to dedicate to doing those, whether it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And this breaks it down. Even those little steps breaks it down to something more tangible. I know when I can get a sitter or take a mom break, I go to the local courtyard. I set up in the lobby. I have my music going. I make my list. I put my time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes next to each task. And it feels so good.
So good.
And just get those 4 done. And in that moment, you have to say, that's enough. That's enough. Okay. We're not here on this earth to be no workhorses where all we're doing is do, and life is passing us by. Like you said, those precious moments with our children, those times where we get to have self-care. You got to stop making that the standard is one of them. So that's my thoughts on the to-do list. And that ties into time management. You're not going to get everything done. And that's where that grace comes in. And you have to pick what are the top priorities. And I think about how there's all these memes that say, my kid went to bed a little early, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to get this done," but I end up scrolling on social media. So we have to, of course, there are times when that day has been rough and you need to mindlessly scroll some positivity on social media. You gotta be careful with that as well. But then there are times when you really need to say, this is an hour. I can say the kid is in bed early, and maybe I can knock out a little bit of those to-do lists and then just have time to close everything, shut it down, watch my favorite show, pop some popcorn, take a nice warm bath, whatever it look like. We talk a good talk. We talk about self-care, but when it comes down to execution, you got to think, what is your grade? Are you giving yourself an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F?
Yes, I love that. And like you said, Levante, so I'm sure if you all have heard of the Thrive method, right? So I teach moms with diabetes that same thing, to really just prioritize yourself. And most women don't even know where to start. Women that have so much to do, like everyone's saying in the comments. Hey, Naya, I see she's saying mommy, wifing, and finances. There you go. Yeah. So, we have these overwhelming to-do lists that never seem to end. Most women don't even know where to start prioritizing themselves and to really make their health a priority. And I know you were on step 1. And so I'm just sitting here eager to hear, what's that next step, especially for someone that says, well, where do I start? How do I start prioritizing myself? I've got too much to do. I don't even know where to start.
I like that idea of starting with yourself. You are number 1 on your to-do list. So you really got to sit down and say, what is it that I need? It's just like that, the cliche everyone says, when you're on the airplane, you put your mask on first. No, naturally, you women are givers. You're taking care of everybody else. What would it look like when you really sit down with your journal and your pen? What would it look like to say, what do I need? Make a list of it, and how can I incorporate this in my day-to-day? And I know for a lot of my friends, I'm in it's a workout group, and they're moms and wives, girlfriends, and
is it local? Is it a local group?
We all go to a local gym, and it doesn't have to be that specific gym. If you find a group of women in your fitness group, but that shows that they're prioritizing each morning to get up. They get up earlier than me and go. I go to the later class. To get up and say, I'm going to work out, because that starts your morning feeling pretty good. Then whether I know for myself, it's about listening to a sermon, listening to something on YouTube, listening to music that's really feeding my spirit. You got to start your day off feeling pretty great and carving out that time for yourself, because we know when the kids, when the husband, when the job kicks in, it's gonna get a little bumpy. If you started your morning off set pretty solid, it'll make a difference in how you interact and engage when those new factors come in. So that was step 3. You were going to get your pen and your journal and really write out, what is it that I need, that I know. I had a recent session, and we were talking about what it would look like to get back to themselves, because life stressors happen, illnesses, financial stressors come in, and you forget about that version of you that smiled and used to be so happy, and they're in there somewhere, but you're not making them the priority. So figuring out, what is that? Who is that? And how do I get them back? I know for some it was, I want to get back in the gym. Some, I want to go back to take art classes. And when you put it out there and make it intentional, it'll line up. A babysitter will come out of nowhere and say, hey, I'll help out. But you're not putting it out there, and you have to. I wanted to jump back too for the financial component.
Okay.
That's really big. We know that the prices of everything went up, but in a lot of cases, our salaries and the money didn't go. And
Yeah.
so you want to connect with different resources. I know in Delaware, we have the Money School and we have different financial coaches that can really just sit down with you and look over your budget and see where maybe you could cut back to stretch a little further, maybe other resources out there in the community you can use when it comes to food or getting some items cheaper. You really want to just make those small tweaks. Personally, I can DoorDash a lot less.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking at that right now. Girl, do better. Sometimes you gotta pinch yourself and wake yourself up and say, this is my best, and make changes.
I love that. I love, like you said, looking within. So knowing that, if maybe your discretionary income is, you find it, depleting, you look within and say, okay, where can I cut? Where can I make some changes? Always start with yourself. And I think that you had said that earlier. So another question, I know we're in the middle of the steps, but I have a burning question. So a big component of the Thrive system, which is the method that I teach moms about, how to thrive with diabetes, not just survive. There are so many women walking around with diabetes, and they don't take care of themselves because they, like we've all said, we've got this huge to-do list. They don't even know how to prioritize themselves and fit themselves into that equation. And so a big component of the I in Thrive means incorporating your faith. And so I heard you say to take that time for yourself to listen to, some spiritual music or something motivating you to even start your day. And I want to ask you, how important is that, especially for us melanated sisters, right? Because this is Black History Month. We're talking to our sisters. How is it that, and I was telling someone else, a lot of times in our community, Black women are usually the upholder of the entire family. Like it's our job to make sure that everybody is good, from your grandmother, your mother, your auntie, your kids, your husband, So how can we use our faith to help us on this journey of like more self-care and taking better care of ourselves?
You better watch it now. We'll go into a whole worship on this.
Let's do it. Okay. Yeah, I can start us off right now.
I love it. I love it when I can talk about faith. And in my field as a mental health therapist, everyone isn't of the same religious belief. So I kind of try to tread in between. But when it comes to your faith and your belief in the higher power, if you don't have relationship, and relationship means you're constantly speaking, I'm going to use myself for a reference, you fill in whatever applies to you. If I'm not in constant prayer with God, if I'm not in constant communication, if I am not reading the word or listening to books that are just giving that positivity, think about your relationship with your boo thing. You got to have communication. You got to telling each other your deepest feelings and sharing, and you have to have that trust that your partner is going to be there for you. And so we have to trust that God sees those stresses you're going through. God knows what it's doing to your physical health and how hard it is to manage. And he's really just sitting there saying, are you going to hand it over to me, or are you going to keep trying to line it up and hold on to it? You know how we go to the altar.
Absolutely.
And we go to the altar and say, oh God, no, give it back. I'll handle it on my own. But it's our faith, it's that relationship. And I tell you, and before these last 2 years, my relationship was almost it was there. Like I was the one that was like, I go to church, I love the Lord, but it wasn't there. It wasn't until I started implementing having friends around me that could speak into my life and pray over me, and we could agree on some things together and go to God in prayer about that, I started seeing the difference. I made a whole prayer board, y'all, and I wish it wasn't across the room right now so I could show it to y'all. But
I saw that on your Instagram, and I love that idea.
Yes, and it was cool because I could bring my family together and we can do it. I did a group live, and really, just to explain it real quick, it's a board It has 6 envelopes on it. You can have the categories be whatever you want it to be, but one of them has to say answer prayers. Mine are God and me, fitness, finances, future. It's different categories.
Okay.
However, one thing that does is keeps you in that constant communication with God, because you're writing out, God, I'm praying for this. I'm praying for this person, the healing. Oh my gosh, I've seen that so many times so far in 2025. This already started.
Me too.
But then even better is when, because think about it, a lot of times we're moving so fast, we're not tuning our ear to hear from God. And we're not tuning our lives to understand He answered that prayer. It might have looked a little different than how you thought, but it was answered. So when I get to move that note card to the answer prayer part, really experience how God is showing up. I'm telling you guys, I feel unstoppable. There is no idea. There is nothing that I don't feel like I can accomplish. I know a lot of it takes time and patience, and a lot of us struggle in that waiting period. And I just went to a prayer breakfast that really spoke on that. But the wait is even more fun because it's like that fun, like kid energy. Oh God!
I can't wait to see what you're gonna get on Christmas. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
So to focus on your question, that faith, it's all about that relationship and how can I make that stronger connection, because God is working, He is doing, and He does hear our prayers, but it's those moments of listening. I want to tell this quick story, y'all. Don't beat me up. I had reached my maximum. I was I pushed myself till I couldn't push no more. And I said, I need to get away. So I lined up sitters. Sometimes you got to call the whole team when
whole squad up.
I'm going to go to the harbor and I want to just spend some quiet time. I don't want to talk. I sent out a text message, very detailed, saying, here's my boundary. And I don't want anyone to contact me because I need this silent time to recharge. I was putting Levante first. So I went to the harbor. I went to the harbor. I enjoyed movies, had dinner by myself, and you could do that locally too. I went on the Ferris wheel. I sat on park benches and just sat. And then I said, God, show me what your purpose is for me. If I am not on the right track, even if being a mental health therapist isn't what you would have me to do, and speaking with people, show me differently. So remember, I said I didn't want to talk to anyone this whole time. I sat day one on the park bench. A gentleman came up. He said, "Can I sit with you?" I said, "Sure." We talked for 4 hours.
Wow.
So, okay, God got you. Day two, sat next to a lady on a different park bench. We start talking 3 hours, talking. Third day, not only did I get to float, I don't know if y'all have heard of the Lantern Festival, float, like you write down things you want to release, and it floats.
I've heard of that.
So pretty. Met a gentleman there, talked to him for an hour. I said, okay, God, all right. I'm in the right place. That's my purpose. And even more, he was telling me that he wanted me to do that here in Delaware. So now I just talk it out, where I set up 2 chairs at Battery Park, or I went to Cafe Karma, anywhere local, and just give people that space, because I know there are women and moms that are caring so much, and maybe you're not ready to come talk to a mental health therapist, but you just need that space to release. And God told me to be that space and to let people just get off with their chest that they need. So that's that relationship and my ear to him, and that connection that He's just moving and doing amazing things. And He will do the same for you. I told y'all we was going to go into a sermon and worship.
Let me get my collection plate. Hey, hang on. Let me get my collection plate. I love that, Levante. I love that. And a lot of times, because we're still in Black History Month, right? We're still celebrating. And I want to be very intentional, like I said, about providing a space, because, just being a Black woman, there aren't many spaces where we are not just tolerated, but we're like celebrated, and we're the focus. And, and I want Black women to know that they are, and I think I heard you say also that if you're feeling unsupported, if you need support, reach out. There are people out there that are willing and able to help you. And so, shameless plug, I'm going to plug in the Diabetic Mom Masterclass. You know, if you do have diabetes and you want to figure your way through this thing, I'm hosting a 4-hour live masterclass March 21st. I will literally walk you through what your Thrive can look like for you, give you a schedule and routine. Levante and people in her field. So Levante, tell us where we can reach you if someone wants to work with you, if someone wants to talk it out with you, where can they find you?
Yes, so you can see down bottom is our website. We do provide individual therapy services here in Delaware. We accept mostly all the major health insurances here as well. And we have an office in Newark. We have virtual appointments. And so, you know, whatever it is. And I did want to say about that community aspect, because almost in every session when I'm trying to get people, we know that when we're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, our first go-to typically is to isolate, is to be alone, and to feel like nobody wants to hear my problems. I don't want to dump this on someone else. And that could not be more false in the world, because the people that love and care about you, even if you only have that one person, is willing to stand in the gap and be there for you. So I encourage you to speak it out. Release whatever, you know, feels like too much, and be open to hearing the suggestions and receiving the assistance from your community, the support group, whatever that community may look like.
Yes, love it, love it. Well, Levante, any last words, or were you done with your steps? I know we kind of got off on a whole like little praise break over here.
One more step. I can do this.
One more step. You got it. You got it.
A lot of times when we're stressed, and I just did this at the prayer breakfast as well. So we know to recognize our triggers, what the physical thing is. We know to identify what it is that's stressing us out. We know some of the things we got to do, the coping skills. A lot of times those coping skills leave our head. So I want you to just grab a sandwich bag, get some note cards, or rip up some pieces of paper and write 5 things that bring you absolute happiness, peace, joy, you love to do. That way, when you're having those tough moments and you feel like, what the heck can I do to bring me out of this funk, out of this stress, pull out one of those and just go do it. Just go do it. Tell everybody, pause. Mom got to take care of herself. Wife, girlfriend, got to go take care of herself, and go from there.
Yeah, I love that. Round of applause. Thank you, Levante. I think that is, that's good stuff. Like I've got chill bumps over here, because nobody, you know, everybody talks about like what we can do for the kids and the husband and this and that, and nobody really focuses on what does it take to take care of the mom. And I know you've heard the old adage, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also takes a village to support the mother that's raising that child. So Levante has an excellent village over there. Check out her website. Make an appointment with her. She does take virtual appointments. So if you're not in Delaware, can someone still work with you, Levante?
So we'll be in a different capacity because we're not licensed in other states.
Okay.
But we can give some guidance. You can follow us. We have workshops and everything. I do want to say, if you are in Delaware and you have a student at William Penn High School, our True to You mental health initiative is coming to William Penn. We'll strictly be having an assembly for the 10th graders. So just tell your child to get excited, or if they want to participate, to reach out to their counselor. But that's my outreach, to try to help moms in a way to make sure that your babies are good as well. So we're going to go and have a great time talking about mental health. They can also enter our competition to submit a video on what mental health means to you, to win a monetary prize. Okay. And so if you have a student at William Penn High School, or if your kid is at another school and you're like, that needs to come to their school, let them know, because we're here. But yes.
That sounds good. Lessen some of that financial stress, right? Well, Levante, it was such a pleasure talking with you. And, you know, there are some great women in Delaware. And I swear we're going to get together to do some more things.
Yeah,
There are some awesome women here that are really providing some really great services to the community. So I just want to thank you. If you're not in Delaware, that's fine too. You know, feel free to contact me and we'll get you the support that you need. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Don't forget to share this with your friends, with your family, with another mom that may need it. I'm Candace Norris Jenkins, the Diabetic Mom Coach, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.